second chance in the game.
Welcome to Providence High School. I'm here with Nate Albaugh, a good friend of mine. I've been with Nate for about 2 years now. First spoke for Nate back in 2018. I hopped on board with Chief Pigskin. I shoot for Chief Pigskin. I really love the concept. I like networking. I like working with coaches, and to be quite honest with you, I enjoy doing this stuff. I am Daniel McDonald, the head football coach at Our Lady of Providence High School. My email address is dmcdonald@providencehigh.net. Follow me on Twitter, or if you want to get in touch with me, the easiest contact is on Twitter at Coach_D McDonald. Today we're going to talk a little bit of linebacker play in the 4-2-5. A little bit about our school and our program. We're a small Catholic school, an enrollment just at 325, maybe 330. We hover in that area. We are located in Clarksville, Indiana, just across the river from Louisville. We will roster 30 to 40 kids. There aren't a lot of big kids in our program or in the school for that matter. So we've had to get kind of creative with how we run our offense, how we scheme our defense, and we're going to have to get even more creative in the next couple years because pretty much all of our big kids are graduating. So it's going to be interesting here in the next couple years. I took this job in February, and as you know, March is when COVID struck. So I took the job in February, had to wait a couple of weeks for my background check and my safe and sacred training with the Archdiocese to clear, and then I met our kids in early March. My first team meeting, we had 17 players in attendance. They said, anybody interested in football, come to this meeting. I had 17 dudes there. Okay. COVID hits, they shut the school down, we're virtual. So I'm trying to recruit kids with text messages and phone calls and social media without being able to get out into the hallways. We finished with 38 kids on the roster, and we had to establish a culture virtually. That was kind of tough. I didn't meet our players until July 7th, after that initial meeting. So July 6th. July 6th comes around, and here we go. My background, I started my career at 21 years old, fresh out of college at Bullitt East High School in Mount Washington, Kentucky. I spent a year there as an assistant, coaching DBs, wide receivers, running backs, pretty much all the skill guys. Decided I knew everything. My alma mater, Wagner High, opens up, and at age 22, they decided that I was the right fit for their head coaching job. And at the time, I thought I was too. But here's my advice. If you're aspiring to be a head coach, let some grass grow under your feet. The first opening that interests you, or the first opening that reaches out to you, is not always the best opening. Let some grass grow under your feet, get some experience, get on board with an elite coach, an elite staff, and learn from the best. Okay, so you can see my history here. I was the offensive coordinator at Seneca High School in Louisville after 1 year as the head coach at Wagner. Long story short, my old head coach at Wagner, who coached me in high school, was at that point the head coach at Louisville Male, which has a rich tradition of winning, either the second or the third winningest program in America historically. So my first year there, as it would happen, I almost got out of coaching. I was frustrated with my teaching job, frustrated with my coaching job, almost got out of coaching. As luck would have it, Coach Wolf had an opening at Male, but it's for the D-line coach. I said, Coach, can't you shuffle some guys around or give me a spot on your offensive staff? He said, nope. I take the best coaches, and if you're as good as you think you are, then you'll take a job outside of your comfort zone. You'll educate yourself, and you'll make it work. And I did. I knew I had to go into that meeting room with my D linemen, and I had to be on top of my stuff. I had no experience with defense, but it turns out it was the best decision I've ever made. I got out of my comfort zone. I thought that just because I was a quarterback in high school, I should stick with offense. I had never played defense growing up. And when I did, it was like, hey, Daniel, you're the quarterback, but go play a little free safety. Okay, whatever. Go in for a play, get out. So I ended up coaching defensive line, and I educated myself on defense, and I absorbed it. I wanted to learn more about coverages, fits, etc. Took it and ran with it. I said, I'm going to be the best defensive line coach in the state of Kentucky. So the next year, Coach Wolf promotes me to the defensive coordinator position. And I learned from the best. He's the best in Kentucky, hands down. From 2017 to 2019, we went on a heck of a run. 2018, 6A state champions, number 2 ranked defense in Kentucky, and we were the 2019 KHSAA state runners-up. I parlayed that success and that experience and that knowledge and became the head coach at Our Lady of Providence High School here in Clarksville. And I am in the midst or in the process of rebuilding a tradition-rich program. I'm excited about the opportunity. I have an unbelievable support network, great kids, great parents, willing and I've got boosters who want to be involved. It's a great setup for us. We've just got to make sure we put the work in to get the job done. I have spoken for Chief Pigskin in the past. I work for Chief Pigskin now. I've presented at Glazer clinics. I've presented at the Nike clinic. I just really enjoy doing this stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some basin of knowledge. I'm not going to act like I'm some savant and I've got all the answers. But I do like showing what we do. I do like, as a fairly young head coach myself and as a guy who's now been doing it for 10 years, for 11 years, the more knowledge I can pass on to young guys. My audience, in my opinion, is guys who are just getting started and want to be head coaches. Guys who are just getting started and want to be great coaches. That's my audience. That's my niche. Okay, so if you're an old head, if you're an older, more experienced coach, you might just want to turn this off. I don't know. Or maybe you can pull something from me. Today we're going to talk about linebacker play in the 4-2-5. So I want to cover 3 things. I want to cover the personnel decisions that we make with our linebackers. I want to go over some of our fundamentals and our drills, some of the things we're looking for, such as alignment. And then we're going to look at some film. I'm always a believer in, if you're going to talk about it in a clinic, you better be able to put it on film. Otherwise, it's just kind of fake. So the first thing I want to talk about here is our personnel for our inside linebackers. In the 4-2-5, I don't believe, and especially at a small school, but maybe at any high school, and you even see it kind of trickling up to colleges and in the NFL, your 4-2-5 inside linebackers aren't your prototype linebackers from 10 to 15 years ago. I can remember back when I was in high school and I was around that age, your linebackers, your inside guys were slightly quicker 3 techniques. And I get it. The air raid was just starting to really make a big push there at the high school level. A lot of teams were still running a lot of ISO, fullback dive, fullback trap. But now as the game has evolved to where you have to cover 53 1/3 yards from sideline to sideline, your linebacker personnel has changed. So, 10 to 15 years ago, you were looking at inside linebackers that were just slightly quicker 3 techniques. Let's be honest about it. They were the guys who might have had a little bit of body fat on them. They were too slow to play DB, but they were aggressive. So, hey, they're too big to play DB, so they're linebackers. Put them in a cowboy collar and let's go. Well, nowadays, you're seeing these linebacker types. In my opinion, speed is a premium over size at your linebacker position. For example, our inside linebackers, and this is more so out of necessity, but our inside linebackers, our Will was 5'7", 170. Our Mike is 5'8", 180. So, measurables, don't get caught up in measurables. Find your heat-seeking missiles. Find your guys who have a nose for the ball. Those are your inside linebackers. Okay, whether they're 5'8", 180, 5'7", 170, 5'6", 150. If they've got a nose for the ball and they'll get downhill and be aggressive, those are your inside linebackers. Okay, I think the days are gone where you've got what they call a typical box linebacker. Now, would we all like to have 6'2", 230 who can run? Of course. But those guys at the high school level are few and far between. Those guys are signing Power 5 scholarships, and I know not everybody has that. So don't get caught up in the measurables saying, well, you got to be 5'11", 6 foot to play linebacker. No, take your toughest, heat-seeking missile and make those guys your linebackers. It's talking more specifically here, what you're looking for out of your Mike in the 4-2-5. That's your guy who's going to scrape. He's your better zone guy. He's a little bit more big. More big. What am I talking about? He's a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. He can reroute receivers. Your Will is your better athlete, your faster guy, your smaller guy, in my opinion. So when we talk about alignment, first you got to think alignment reveals assignment. What do you believe in as a defense? Are you a squeeze and spill team or are you a box team? That's going to mess with your alignment and your personnel a little bit. But I'm a huge believer in squeezing everything and spilling and making teams run east to west. Okay, so with that in mind, if I'm going to clog the A and the B and scrape everything C gap out, I've got to look at my linebacker alignment. Okay, and this is a little bit, there are some older guys who vehemently disagree with me on this. That's fine. Okay, but I think of it in terms of geometry. If you know that you really want your linebackers going side to side, is it easier for a linebacker to scrape from depth and be able to take an angle to get downhill, or is it easier for him to be a little bit closer, but now that when he scrapes, he's got to move flat down the line of scrimmage? Okay? Ask these questions. Which one's faster to the point of attack? That downhill straight line, or this guy who's going flat and having to bend it? That one, right? This guy. This triangle. This guy that's a little bit deeper, but is moving downhill at an angle. Which one has better leverage on the ball carrier? If I see this from a linebacker, this guy moving flat, that running back's cutting back on him because all his momentum is taking him side to side and overrunning everything. Running back's going to put his foot in the ground and he's cutting back. Okay? Whereas this guy who's deeper and coming downhill on a straight line, the leverage is to the sideline where I have my 13th and 14th defenders. Okay? Which one's the easier combo block from an O-line perspective? The guy who's closer, who if we get any movement on our D lineman, we can come off, or the guy who's a little bit further away and now I've got to run to him to come off. Or by the time I'm able to come off, he's already scraped and gotten downhill. So I believe depth is our friend from a linebacker perspective. Now, I'm not going to get crazy and go 6 yards, but 4.5 to 5 is where we want to live. Heels at 4.5, heels at 5. That's where we're living. Some of the more, and I don't mean to say old school like it's some kind of bad thing, because there are elements of my pedagogy and philosophy that are old school. But I think if you're putting your linebacker at 3.5, 3 yards, you're doing him a disservice. Keep your linebacker clean, put him at depth, keep him clean, and let him go make plays. Alignment fundamentals here. We like to play two techniques with stacked linebackers and move post-snap. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to get our hands on people and give it the illusion that we're two-gapping. We're going to get our hands on D linemen and keep those backers clean. But we like to do so from a two-technique stacked linebacker position. This can really mess with your linebackers' keys. We believe in reading guards through the backfield. So if we're stacking a two technique there, that read isn't always clear. But you take it for what you balance your scales. It also messes with your offensive linemen's reads. It also makes it hard on linemen to make their combo calls. Now you're asking linemen to move in real time and combo in real time. And I think that's to our advantage. Now, obviously, your alignments are going to change versus detached wide receivers, and I'm going to get more into that. All right, so when we talk about linebacker alignments, I said your alignments are going to change depending on where the receivers are lined up. And a lot of it's going to depend on your coverage, too. You're going to have to do some homework on coverages because you got to be able to tie in your front, your coverage, and your linebacker depth. It all plays hand in hand, in my opinion. So we're going to talk about 3-by-1 detached first and how that affects alignment. Okay, we're split field. Like I said, we're playing two techniques here. 5s on the end. let's go to the boundary first. Okay? Depending on your coverage, one of our base rules for our will linebacker is if you have a back, don't get outflanked. Okay, so our will linebacker, then, his rule here is to not get outflanked by his back. Well, what happens if they run inside zone, Coach? Then he's going to work this left shoulder into the back. Okay, we've got help over here. But we really don't want him getting outflanked out of alignment over here. Okay? So he's going to line up on the outside shoulder of this back at 5 yards. Let's detach our wide receivers. I don't care what label you use. It really doesn't matter to me. They're all the same. 3 detached. Now, a lot of this is going to depend on your coverage. But let's assume you're in some variant of quarters. Put your nickel here, capping number 2. Your free safety has to honor number 3. Corner has to align on number 1. Some variant of quarters here, right? Are you just going to give up this grass? Are you going to keep your mic in the box? If you're in man, that's cool. Cheat your safety up, play man, keep your mic in the box, and let's go. But if you're going to jump to quarters and you don't want to give this clean release because, you know, a lot of this R4 stuff that we're seeing with offense now where they're taking space, if you're going to give up that space and give him a clean release, you're in for a long night, brother. So my thing is, if we're squeezing and spilling everything like we should be up front, let's kick our linebacker's alignment out to the hip of the end. But Coach, aren't you giving up inside zone here? Well, if we're using our leverage correctly and our D-line is doing their job, we can close. We can close on zone. Okay? We can close that in. Or if our D-line is doing their job and they're pushing everything out and they try to run zone, you're playing right into our hand. There's an easy scrape. Easy scrape. In any kind of pass concept, I don't believe in spot dropping. I think if you spot drop, the way offenses are designed to take space now, if you spot drop, I think you're at a disadvantage. So in some variant of quarters, I'm not going to give our coverage secrets away. We're going to match number 3. The final number 3, that is. So reroute the initial number 3 if he's vertical. Reroute and disrupt this rhythm. And then work for the final 3. And he can't do that if he's in the box. So technically he's still in the box here, but he needs to honor this number 3. With so many teams running these bubble screens and tunnel screens, you've got to account for this guy. And it can't, if you go man, it can be this. But remember, we're playing some variant of quarters. So he's going to match the final 3. Backside here. I like to say match the final number 2. Okay, and that's from a coverage standpoint. But what if this back now is lined up here? 2 weak, 4 strong. Okay, so what a lot of teams will tend to do on you is they'll clear out, clear out, clear out, go here. Okay, so that should be your mic. If the back's aligned here, strong, then your will has to now honor, your will can't be out here. Your will has to honor that movement and work to the A gap. I don't like for him to cap the ball because I think that gives him a crappy angle or a terrible angle, crappy like I'm 16 years old or something. I think that gives him a terrible angle to now attack and react to any kind of counter pull action. So I like for him to play this backside A, and he can always work across the ball if he needs to. Okay, so those are our alignments versus 3x1 detached. If you attach your tight end, we still need to honor that C gap now. And the D gap, we got to honor this. You know, not going to insult your intelligence. A, B, Now there's an attached C. We have to honor that alignment. We're still going to stay in this 5 technique. But now we're going to move to what I call a 30. You can even go to a 30, excuse me. We're going to move to a 30. We're going to honor this widened C gap and this new D gap. Now there are some games you can play out here with your coverage. If you're in some variant of quarters, you may want to cap here and midpoint. But there are a lot of different things you can do here with your coverage. That's on you to decide. Okay, but the principle stays the same. Squeeze everything out. Your linebacker is playing B gap to flow. B gap to flow. The Will's alignment rules don't change. Working off number 4 strong, number 2 weak. Okay, basic rule, don't get outflanked by your back. Simple enough. 2x2 detached. I said in a previous clinic, I think this is the easiest formation to defend, whether you're odd or even front, because it's balanced. You don't have to declare a strength. So let's go 2x2 detached here. Redraw real fast. Put our H here. Let's move our R on the line. These aren't Providence's labels, by the way. So if you're trying to watch this clinic and get some kind of read on how we label our players, I played a better hand than you. All right, 2x2. That allows us now to keep our mic in the box. Because remember, his rule is match number 3. Where's number 3? He's in the box, so we can stay in the box. Okay, our will now, depending on our coverage, if we're in some variant of quarters, are we going to give up this space? Or are we going to align in hip to take away that now? I think and if your principle is squeeze and spill everything, then you're playing right into our hand. So we're going to take away this now. We're going to acknowledge the RPO here. And we're going to align in hip on number 2 weak with our will. Same principles apply for the mic though. Don't get outflanked by your back. So if the back is aligned weak, then we're going to take away this A gap. We're not going to cross the center's face, pre-snap at least. I think that gets him outflanked for any kind of guard pull. So we have to acknowledge, and this is where your game plan comes in. If they're a heavy pull team, then you better not get over here across the center's face or even on the center, because now you're out leveraged. Okay, so I would like for him to line up in a 10 technique to take away so that he can track any kind of action here. If zone comes at him, he fast plays. But I don't want him to line up capping the ball. I think he's outflanked on zone. I think he's going to be out leveraged on any kind of guard or tackle pull. 3x2 empty. This is a fun one. Empty is kind of a pain to defend. If you got a team that actually runs empty well. Some teams will line up in empty, but they do it as a caveat, and they're not exceptional at it. So empty in a 4-2-5, I think you kind of got to clear out your box a little bit and let your D line do their job. So what was our rule? 3 detached. Honor it. Take away space. Match final 3. Match weak 2. 4 strong. Okay, so we're honoring the fact that they can throw these nows out here. If we keep our backers in the box, we're giving away assignment. We're telling you that we're in man if we keep those backers in the box. So here we are, 3x2. We've honored everything on the perimeter. Our D-line is going to do their job, and we can always come back into the box. And it's not like I'm vacating the box. I mean, you're talking about a movement of, what, 3 yards? But we can always work back in and leverage a quarterback run or a quarterback draw here. Okay, we can always work back in. That's why you put athletes here. You don't put your big, slightly quicker 3 techniques here. You put your athletes there. Okay, so that's 3x2 detached. Assuming we're playing some variant of quarters over there. 4x1. You don't see a lot of 4x1. Not in this part of town, at least. Still an empty set. So what was our basic rule? The Mike has to match number 3, and he's got to take away the space of number 3. So the way I would play this is I would go ahead and vacate my Mike and cap number 4 and work, match number 3 still. Okay, against 4x1, I think your coverage can stay very similar to 3x2. But you got to just push your coverage out of man. Okay, and that really kind of depends on what you want to do here with your coverage. Some variant of 4, cover 2, man, whatever you want to do, just make sure you can cover everything. Or at least cover your most dangerous threats. Now, what to do with our will? Remember, what was his job? 4 strong, 2 weak, right? Well, where's 4 strong? He's way over here. So I believe now we can go ahead and cap the center. He can always match quarterback movement. He can always work quarterback leverage. I would have him either capping the center or playing like a shade alignment. Obviously he's not shading the center, but I would put him on the center's backside. Okay, cap the center's backside shoulder. He can always work quarterback pull, quarterback trap, inside out. Quarterback goes weak, he's not outflanked here. So if they run some kind of quarterback zone or quarterback trap, he can work that and match it. Okay, but I would definitely not cross the center's face pre-snap. Your Mike in this case, I believe, is going to cap 4 and take away the now to 4, but he really still is keen number 3 here. Okay, and if it's a pass, post-snap, your will can work to match the new 4, wherever that may come from. Okay, so that's 4x1. Okay, the next section, I want to talk about some of the fundamentals and drills that we do. Now, none of this is going to be earth-shattering, but maybe there's 1 or 2 things you can take away. Like I've said before and what I've kind of alluded to already, I really place a premium on feet work, angles, leverage, hips, and general athleticism from our inside backers. Whatever drill you run with your inside backers, I think you have to end every movement-based drill with some kind of tackle, some kind of simulated footwork tackle or hitting a bag or something. Because your middle, let's come back to the 2020s, get out of the 90s. Your inside backers are going to be your leading tacklers if you're running the defense correctly. So a lot of their drills should be finish the drill with a tackle, finish the play with a tackle, because you're the guys that are going to make the vast majority of our tackles. And then the way offenses are evolving and changing and quarterbacks are getting better, you have to train your inside backers to be a force in pass defense. And in order to do this, you have to train their eyes and you have to train them to open their hips and understand depth and where they need to be on the field and who they're matching. You got to train that. Okay, you're giving up way too much if you're not defending with a full 7 guys sometimes. If you're a liability in pass coverage, you might need to go play end or just focus on offense. Okay, so let's work some film here. And I'll show you some of our drills we do. All right, so this is what we're working kind of on a daily basis with our linebackers. A premium is placed on footwork. You have to forgive my guys; they weren't wearing their cleats This is all operating during like a spring no contact period, so we're really just working footwork. And on this day, they forgot their cleats. But it's all good. They're still pretty athletic. First drill we're going to work is a simple shuffle. Shuffling through the bags, around the bags, in and out. And what you'll notice, and where I place an emphasis is making sure you have a good base under you. Notice our linebackers will step up. They're going to scrape grass to make sure their hips are down low and they have some leverage to fire off on. So our linebacker is going to scrape that grass, make sure he's down good and low. He stands up a little bit in his stance, but that's okay. Notice he's going to keep a wide base. He's not going to click his heels in his shuffle. He's going to keep that wide base so that he can move and drive. Move and drive. Move and drive. Okay, here he goes. Finish with a tackle. Bang. Finish with a tackle. Left foot, left shoulder, wrap up. Good job. Okay, our next drill rather, we're just working 1 foot in each hole, 1 foot in. Work on stepping up and being athletic. Guys are going to fall around you. Guys are going to be on the ground. We got to be able to step over some guys every now and then. Okay? Step over the bag. Finish on a tackle. Boom. You can work tackling without tackling. The majority of tackles are missed simply due to poor footwork. So we always want to work some kind of gather power step with our guys. Even now, we're not allowed to do anything with a football right now. We can still work tackling drills as long as we're working footwork and tracking. Okay, so we're going to step over the bags here. Next drill, going to working laterally, keeping our base wide. His feet get a little bit too narrow. But see, he's getting that knee up, driving the knee. Put it down, pick it up. Get over the bags, work laterally, open the hips, finish on a tackle. Boom. Nice job, Luke. Good drill there. He's got great feet. A little undersized, you'll notice. He's a little undersized. He's an inside backer. Why? Because he's athletic. He's a former wrestler. He's got that military mindset, man. This is the type of kid that gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and knocks out 300 push-ups real quick. He weighs maybe 160, but he's going to be a heck of a linebacker for us because he's just a tough kid. Wants to join the military when he gets out. There he goes. Open those hips and let's go. Boom. Okay, our next drill is just a simple back pedal in and out. Work on throwing your hands. Get there. Shock, shock, drive, shock. Now what I would like to see from this guy is I'd like to see him come out of that back pedal and drive that knee up. Get that knee up and drive it back into the ground and explode out of it. Explode out of it. Drive the knee. Shock the hands, drive that knee. Not a lot of knee drive there. That's all right though. He'll get better. Open the hips, make a tackle. Okay, my guys at Mail absolutely hated this drill back a couple years ago. They absolutely despised this drill. Typewriter drill. And we're working on just keeping a wide base, fast feet, ripping. We're building, I hate to say this, but we're really just kind of working on muscle memory here. Your legs are going to start burning once you do this 2 or 3 times. We're working muscle memory. Make a tackle. Wide base, fast feet. Dip and rip. Okay, I teach my guys, and I'll get into this in a minute more so, but I teach two contact points. And it depends on the personnel that we're playing against. With us being undersized, you're going to see us work a shock, lock, and throw drill. We don't do that a lot because we're so undersized. The movement that we really teach is rip through half a man. Rip through his soul. Rip through half of that man's soul. Okay, so you're going to see them dipping and ripping. All right, so our next drill, we're going to work the hips. He's going to open his hips. Open the hips, drive down. Open the hips, drive to the bags. Open the hips. See, he's struggling with this one. That's all right, though. But the point of the drill, open the hips, drive. Open the hips, drive. Open the hips, drive. Open the hips, make a tackle. My film guy didn't get a great shot of this, but that's okay. Next drill. This is a great one for us. The old school read step is not, it doesn't really suit us. It doesn't really suit our scheme. But we still want our guys going with some momentum going forward. So I teach a read step, basically pick it up, put it down. Get on the balls of your feet. So you're picking up your foot, like our guy does here. You're picking that foot up and getting the weight on the ball of that foot to get some momentum going forward. You know, the big read step now, we don't really do that because we got to be able to move laterally. We might need to jump. So we still want momentum going forward, but it's really a matter of getting the weight up and back down. He's not gaining a lot of ground on his read step. So this is what we call our box drill. And I've set up a 6x5 box. You got 6 cones. Okay, so here's one here. This is an inside zone scrape. Inside zone scrape. Outside zone scrape. And then there's another cone over here you can't see that is your other outside zone scrape. These cones here, you're going to teach this guy to open his hips and drop, and then he's going to attack downhill. Open your hips and drop and attack downhill. So what I'm doing here is I'm clapping 3 times. On each clap, he's taking a read step. Picking the foot up, putting it down. Picking the foot up, putting it down. On the third clap, I'm going to point to a cone. And he has to, without false stepping, attack that cone. So if he's here, he's attacking. If I point to this cone, he's going to attack downhill, inside out leverage. Get off the read step, attack downhill, inside out leverage. Okay, so here I am. I clap, read step. Second clap, read step. Third clap, there you are. See, he false steps. We got to work on him. He doesn't gather. He doesn't gather his feet for me and make a powerful tackle. He just kind of runs through it. Too big of a step there, Luke. Sorry, he'll get better. Okay, here's Roy. Roy's taking too big of a step. Notice that kind of chop motion. He's almost jumping into it. Nope, take it easy there, Bubba. Take it easy. Too big of a read step. Get downhill. Wrong foot. Okay. Next, ignore our track team in the background there. Next, we're going to work some contact points. And this is a drill I got from Brian Landis. He is at Georgia State or Georgia Southern now, but he was a head football coach over in Kentucky at Frederick Douglass. Great dude. I took this drill directly from him. This is shock. This is a shock drill. Our linebacker here is just working on taking his hands and firing through a guy and locking out with his hips down and with leverage. Okay, so the first part of this drill is just simply shocking. I don't know what he's doing here. Bad cut up. Okay, so Craig is shocking and locking, getting away from that contact. It's kind of like your tip of the spear movement that USA Football is teaching now. Okay, so Craig's hips are still down. He's still got a pretty solid power angle. And he can push through this guy, and he can shock, lock, and throw arm over in a minute. There he is. Shock, lock, get through it. Tip of the spear. Create space. Shock and lock. Shock him, lock him, drive through him. Good. Good job. Shock, lock, get through. Shock, lock, get through. I like it. I like it. Now we're going shock, lock, and throw. Shock and lock, throw the hands, get away from him, create space. You'll see about a half yard of space between where Craig started and where he ends up away from this blocker. Shock, lock, and throw. Get away and create space. What you don't want to see is when he throws the guy away from him, you want to see his step replace where the guy was. You don't want to see his step go way over here. That's creating a new gap. Good running backs are going to see that and go to the space. So create the space and work through the guy. That's a good step. Power steps through the man, throws him away. Discard him like trash. Boom. Step through it. Shock, lock, throw. Throw him away, step to where he was. Good. Nice job, Craig. Okay, I believe here we're going arm over now. If I had my clips in the right order. All right, so Luke's going shock, lock, throw. Coaching point on that last one. Shock, lock. Luke doesn't get his elbow all the way locked out. Okay, he's giving up some space there. If he gets that elbow all the way locked out, he's probably got another 4 inches on the guy, 4 inches of separation. So he's got to get those elbows locked out. Bench press through the guy. I mean, Luke's got the strength to do it. He's about $160, but can bench press 225 or so. So he's got the strength to do it. Just make your arms go there. Okay, so Craig is now going into the next step of the progression. Shock, lock, throw, arm over. Okay, step, shock, lock, throw. His arm's too high. When he goes arm over, I don't want to see that. I want to see that. Whoa, too much there. I want to see his arm go here. Punch through the man, not a swim move over him. Punch through. Okay? You're 5'7", Craig. Punch through the man. Don't give him leverage on you by swimming. But I do like that aggressive throw. I think Luke does a little bit better job. Shock, lock, throw. Notice the arm is punching through. He's not swimming. He's going through. Luke has to get locked out better, though, or he's not going to create any separation on anybody. There he goes. He got good separation there. Notice he just punches through. Shock, lock, throw, arm over. Nice job. We don't spend a ton of time on this drill. Our guys are so undersized. A lot of the guys that are attacking us are significantly bigger than us. So we're going to do a lot of rip through the hip. Okay, and you saw that in our typewriter drill. We're dipping that shoulder down low. We're ripping through the hip. There's another drill I do where I set up a dummy, and that dummy has a seam line right at about where a guy's hip would be. And I tell them, when you rip through this, your shoulder pad better be below that seam. So I want them to over-exaggerate in the drill. Not this drill, but in our rip drill, I want them to over-exaggerate. Really drop that shoulder down low and rip through the man. Use the fact that you're squatty to your advantage. Okay, so those are our linebacker drills. Let's go to the tape. Okay, so we're looking at our linebacker fundamentals here. All right, so 3x1, 3 detached. The mic is in hip alignment, just outside of our end, honoring number 3. Quarterback wants to take that easy one, right? Now our nickel needs some work. He's a little bit too aggressive. But because our mic is so athletic, he makes up for it. Watch our mic's eyes. As soon as he reads pass, where are his eyes? Right there on 3. Okay? Right there on number 3. He matches it. He's right in his hip. You're not taking the easy one. You're going to have to throw it a little further away from me. He drives on the ball, and they did a lot of work. They did a lot of work for 3 yards. Look at my guys. This is culture right here, guys. I talk a lot about culture. I'm going to talk about this in my next clinic. Our culture is relentless effort. Fly to the ball. All 11 dudes need to run to this ball. Let's watch it in real speed. Match number 3, getting his hip. You got to throw it out wide. I'm going to go get that ball. Get there, get there, get there. Look at this. Dudes are angry to get to the ball. Now, I'm not some savant. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be dead honest. This team lit us up pretty good. But there's an Ohio State commit, an Ohio State signee, and they dress about 95 guys. You see my sideline is about 31, 32 strong. We hung with these dudes for about a quarter and a half. My guys played their tails off. They played the techniques they were coached. Sometimes the other team is just better than you. There's nothing, No real fault for anybody. But our guys played their tails off. They played with relentless effort. Okay, this is why you need athletes at inside backer. They're going to hit us with a little screen out here. Tunnel screen to number 1. Watch our mic. Speaking of, this kid being athletic, you want inside backers to be athletic. He is going to Hanover College, talking about maybe playing some strong safety. So, that tells you what kind of athletes we're looking for here. I don't care how big or how small you are, be a headhunter. Our D-line did a terrible job retracing, but that's for another talk. Okay, so our Mike here, he's working, he reads pass, he finds number 3, matching, shock lock throw, get through the block, leverage inside out, be stronger with that tackle, Jeremy. Be stronger with that tackle. But I love how he's getting downhill. Depth is our friend here. He's lined up with his heels at 5. He can work to this scrape at depth, downhill. Boom, get through it, right off the hill. Good play. Good play, Jeremy. Nickel did a good job, too, maintaining force. Okay, gain of 2. Our heels are at 5. I really like what our Mike does here. We teach cloudy, clear reads. So guard through the backfield. If that gap opens right now, shoot it. So we'll see an example of what to do with our Mike, and we'll coach up our Will. So right off the bat, you see an out block, a base block, and a base block. That's a clear gap. Our Mike shoots it right now. Boom, get downhill and go. One of our rules, zone to us, we can fast play. Zone away from us, we can slow play. But this isn't zone. This isn't zone. They end up pulling at least a tackle, maybe a guard. So it's tackle trap, right? Our Will should have matched this. But he was new to the position. He ended up playing D-line or defensive end for us later in the year. And you saw Craig earlier. We ended up moving Craig to that starting linebacker position. But I'd like for our Will, once this tackle pulls, to go ahead and keep your depth, match it, and work downhill. Learn how to work the controllers there, coach. Match it downhill. Good job there. Good job. Okay, again, cloudy, clear gap, shoot it, let's go. Clear gap, shoot it, let's go. Good job keeping your depth here. Cloudy gap. Oh, cameraman, watch out. Split flow. The line's moving one way, the back's moving another. The gap is cloudy, so he keeps his depth. Get downhill. Scrape now. Good. His angle could be better, but he goes down there and makes a play. Good stuff here. This is Craig. You saw Craig in the drill earlier, number 32. Excuse me, this is Jeremy again. I'm sorry. Jeremy's going to Hanover. All right, so split flow, slow play it. You see the line moving one way. The back is going to go another way and try to cut back on us. Zone away, slow play. So Jeremy's going to slow play it for a cutback. Keep the back on his inside shoulder, inside out leverage. As the back works his cutback, Jeremy flashes unblocked. Boom. Could be a stronger tackle. His aiming point's a little high. That's a great way to play that, though. Does a nice job. The line does a good job here keeping our guy clean. And don't tell me that I'm just picking out clips, against bad competition. This kid is like 6'13", 300 pounds, and has 65 D1 offers. And we ended up winning this game. So the techniques work as long as you have the right people in the right jobs and you're coaching them up. Good job, Jeremy. D-line did a heck of a job. That was my first win. This was my first win at Providence. This is when, we went from an 0-3 team with, an outlook of a dismal season to, kind of putting everything together, realizing the staff knows what they're talking about, and we can compete with teams. This was a great win for us. This was the turning point in our season. Jeremy does a decent job here. We've got a little stunt on with our will. Keeps his depth, gets over it, works inside out. Now, we do have a drill where we teach our guys how to read this block. Notice the center is able to, is that a guard or a center? I should have worn my glasses. That guard climbs off. We have a drill where they read how to play this. If he comes out and turns his shoulders to you and you read grass, you're going to undercut it. If he comes out slow and his shoulders are flat, you're going to go ahead and work over top of him. So he comes out shoulders flat, Jeremy works over top. There's no way that guy can make that play. I'm going to talk about this one in a clinic later, but this is a freshman, by the way, and he does a heck of a job getting downhill and running the alley for us, but that's for another talk. Fly to the ball, man. Fly to the ball. Okay, squeeze it, spill it. This is a good job by our defensive end here to help us out. He squeezes this thing, takes it, makes two guys block him, keeps our backer clean, destroys the pull, scrapes downhill. Good stuff. Did Craig match it? Did our Will match it? He sure did. Watch our Will linebacker. This guard's going to pull. Craig's going to keep his depth and match it and look for the first open gap. Backside pursuit, your rule is don't let an open gap or don't cross an open gap without feeling it. Craig fits up on the first open gap he sees. If that back were to get loose and cut back, our Will is there. So they are trying to get this rhythm seam here. They see too high, they're going to attack the grass. But because our Mike knows what he's doing and is able to collision that, it's not open. Okay, come on back. Our D-line does a good job chasing this down. He gains several yards, but it's third and forever. Okay, down and distance, third and forever. We can go ahead and get pretty loose with our depth here and drop to the sticks. Let's coach Jeremy up, though. Let's coach our Mike up. What does he do wrong? Well, you let the guy inside of you, dude. Keep inside leverage. Let's help our safeties out. Keep inside leverage. See, Jeremy should have gotten down here and walled this guy. He should have short walled and made him climb. He still does a nice job sticking on him and taking the rhythm away. Quarterback's eyes. I'm not lying to you. He's trying to hit this rhythm. It's not open. Our Mike took it away. Nothing's open. Third and long. I'll take that. Go make a play. Boom. Sticks him. Come on back to the play and make it. Depth is our friend. Because he's deep enough, he reads that quarterback pull, he's still got space. Watch his angle of attack. He goes beeline, right off that hip, right to the ball carrier. Boom. Good play. Really happy with both backers here. The tackling could be better, but they understand the scheme here. They're going to pull this guard here. QB power, power read, whatever you want to call it. I would like to see our D end spill this so that it forces a give read, but that's okay. They make him right. Craig, our Will matches the guard pull, gets downhill at the first open gap he sees. Now, if we would have spilled it, Jeremy would have scraped, our Mike would have scraped, excuse me, and our nickel would have been forcing. We've got it set up nicely, and it's all because we matched the pull here. Notice our free safety, our freshman free safety, he's ready to get down in the box and make a play. Good stuff. Now, Craig flies in with his head down. We fixed that, though. He ended up having a heck of a season. Okay, read option here. I think I have a tight view of this. Read option for us. We do a nice job here. Side note, we squeeze it. DN could do a better job, but watch Craig. Watch our Will linebacker here, number 32. Will linebacker. Split flow, bounce read. Split flow, bounce read. Line's going one way, backs are going another. That's a split flow, bounce read, keep your depth. First gap that opens, we're going to shoot it. He reads option, keeps inside out leverage. He's clean, makes a play. From the end zone view, it looks even better. End zone shot. I would like to see our D end squeeze this a little bit better. Get hands on that tackle. Engage. See, this was our first scrimmage, though. This is our first 11-on-11 action. Squeeze it, shuffle, close that gap. But what's nice is you'll see our Will linebacker, because he has kept depth and slow played it, he's going to flash unblocked right out here in just a second. There he is. Now, they got us on this later because our rover wasn't playing his assignment, our backside safety. He should be slow playing this as well and working to the alley, but he got a little anxious. One more read option. Beautiful. Okay, notice split flow, keep your depth. We can always be a little bit late to pursue if we're coming from the backside. So keep your depth, slow play it, inside out, force the pitch. On option, you teach your inside linebackers, they are quarterback to pitch. So they're going to work inside out. Quarterback pulls it. He's going to work inside hip of the quarterback. Once the DN forces the pitch, now he can adjust and work inside hip of the back. So he's quarterback to pitch. Perfect. Fourth player does a good job here too. So that just about does it for the way we coach our linebackers. Thanks for watching Chief Pigskin. Again, I'm Daniel McDonald, head football coach, Our Lady of Providence High School. D McDonald at providencehigh.net, or it's easy to get in touch with me via Twitter at coach_D McDonald. Thank you, guys.